this is Chaucer, and this video is going to be an update on the Rose engine, a 3D renderer that I've been building on my spare time. Before I dive into it, I want to apologize in advance. I had originally intended on posting updates on this every week, but these last few weeks have been pretty hectic. My grandfather ended up getting sick. He had got pneumonia, and it was pretty bad. He had us all pretty worried, so the majority of my time these last few weeks has been helping him out as much as I could. However, with that said, he's doing a lot better now, and I believe I'm back to a pretty normal schedule. I did manage to make some pretty good progress. There's some pretty neat updates here, at least I think so. And yeah, so let's jump into it. Okay, so I'm going to start by making a new map. And as soon as you click on new map, you'll be greeted with this window. It's your basic map settings, name, display name, width, height, etc. I'm going to name my map test. And for the display name, I'll leave it blank. The width and height, I'll leave at default values. And the tile set, I'm going to change to dungeon. The parallax, I will set it to dark space. Now our map is created, and we'll start editing it. And one of the first things you'll probably notice is that we have a parallax image in the background. This does not work the way a default parallax image works. Instead of a static image that just scrolls, we now have a skybox. So if I move the camera around, you'll see that it tiles pretty seamlessly all along the edges here. And if you don't know what a skybox is, it's basically a giant box that we wrap around our world. And that's pretty much it, honestly. Now, this isn't perfect. There's some issues with this. If we scroll all the way up, you can see the edges of our box at the top do not line up, and same with on the bottom. This is a pretty minor issue, but it is something that I plan to fix later on. Okay, and before I go any further, I'll explain a little bit of the UI. And in the top left corner here, you can see we have our mesh list. And what this is basically a list of shapes or meshes that you can use to draw your world with. By default, we have plane, cube, slope, corner slope, and billboard. Those are all built into the engine. You can import custom 3D models as well. But there might be some issues with them, which I'll cover a little bit later. And as you can see, a billboard is pretty much just a plane that is always facing our camera. If I select the billboard and I rotate my camera around a little bit, you'll see that it's just always following our camera. No matter where our camera turns, it's always looking right at it. I also have two custom models here imported. These models were just random ones that I found online. One of them is a house, and the other one that I have is a monkey head rather. And if you're familiar with Blender, you'll probably know what this is. So the next window that I want to talk about is our textures window, and it's located at the very bottom of our game window. And this is directly associated with our mesh window. Whatever we draw on the texture, it will display on our mesh. So you see we click on the texture on the bottom and it opens up this window, or we can select tiles to choose from. And whatever tile we click on, that's the tile that will be rendered on our mesh. And you can select multiple tiles at the same time just to speed things up. And I showed this off before. This isn't anything new. B, C, D, and E tiles have all been working. However, in the last video, you might have noticed that A tiles were not quite working correctly. So if I jump over there now, you'll see we have everything displayed properly. And if we scroll all the way to the bottom, we have our A5 tiles. And you can see they're all displaying right, and they're all rendering properly. And if we go back towards the top, we have our auto tiles. And if I click on an auto tile, you'll see that it works a little bit different than in the default manner. So we have our preview window up top. This shows us what our auto tile will look like before we draw it. And this middle window is our selector window, and the bottom window is just to close the window. You'll see if I click on a part of the tile in the selector window, it will draw it to our preview window. And whatever part of the preview window is selected, that's where it will get drawn. So we can change this however we want. We can draw this in any manner we want. So you have pretty much complete freedom to use auto tiles however you want. It is a lot more tedious though to use than default. So I am planning on improving this in the future to making it a little bit more easy to use. But for right now, this is what I've currently got. And I guess I'll confirm this, and I guess I'll draw a lava dungeon of some sort. Okay, so you might have noticed that I just switched layers right there, and the way that I'm switching layers is page up and page down. It's not written down anywhere, so I thought I'd mention that. And one thing to note about auto tiles is that they do not animate currently. All of the water tiles don't animate. It's something that I have planned to fix relatively soon, but I think there's a couple other things that I want to get done before that, namely collision detection. I'd like to get that implemented since you can pretty much build a full map at this point. I think having collision detection and having a map that's actually playable would be a top priority at this moment. Okay, so I think I'm about done here. Yeah, that looks about right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to add a little bit of detail to make things look a little bit more lively. I'm not going to go too far into detail because this is just a example map of what you can make with this. So yeah, now's a good time to go over the bottom left window, which is a window that displays all of the meshes that we have placed at the tile that we're currently selecting. So anything inside of our cursor, any mesh that's inside of our cursor is going to be listed here. And you can do stuff like erase, which I'm going to show you here in a minute. As you can see, this one's not displaying properly. You can also move this up or move it down, and that helps with flickering sometimes. As you can see, it didn't help in this situation, so I'm just going to erase this. Okay, so instead of doing that, I'm just going to offset our position by a couple of points. 0.02 to be exact, and as you can see, that looks like it cleared up our flickering issue, so no more problem there. And I guess I'll draw the light on the floor. Yeah, that doesn't quite look right. There's a few issues left, and transparency is one of them. So I'll just rotate this around, that way it's flat on the floor. And again, there's the flickering issue. I gotta offset this one as well, so I'll click on it and erase it, and I'll offset the position on the y-axis now. And these sliders are a little bit tricky, so they're really sensitive. Yeah, that definitely doesn't look right, but it's okay. I'll look into this and try to fix it as soon as possible. Alright, so I guess the next thing, I'll add in some details on the floor here. Let's see what we can find. I'll go with the skeleton. And I'm going to offset all of our rotations back to 0. That way they're just flat on the floor. Okay, so I guess I'll add a human skeleton as well. And I'll toss it in this corner over here. Let's see what else we can add. Oh, you know what? We have these rocks here. Okay, let's add these in. So, I think they're rocks anyways, I'm not too sure. I'll throw some in the lava here too. Alright. And one last thing, I want to add some stairs here. So I'm going to take my slope and I'll rotate it by 90 degrees. That way it's flat against our wall there. And I'll use the stair texture or the stair tile. And for everything else, I'm just going to erase it because none of that will be visible anyways. Okay, So I'll draw these tiles all along here. And there we go. And, oh yeah, okay. One more thing, we have a pit of lava here, and I don't think that our player will be able to cross that normally, so I'm going to build a bridge. So I'm just going to use the cube texture, and I'll use the top part of the bridge on the top of our cube, and these two sides I'm going to leave blank. I'm going to clear them off. And for the other sides, I'm going to use this tile that shows the side of a bridge. And for the very bottom, I'll clear that as well. Now I could get a little bit more detailed with this, but I think that's good for right now. So I'll save our map, and we'll disable our level editor plugin. Now I don't have a actual scene set up to render our map. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. So I just kind of wrote a little bit of a hack to render it on the title screen. So you might hear the title screen music in the background while I navigate around the map. I don't have collision detection. That's the next thing to do on my list. That's my number one priority at the moment. So I'd really like to get some collision and get some characters drawn in here. And as you can see, we can explore here. You can look around, see our dog bones there. Go over here and walk across the bridge, look down at the lava, and as you can see, like I said, it doesn't animate yet, but that's definitely going to happen. And there's a human skeleton, and there's our stairs to the next level. Alright. So that's pretty much it, and we can jump into the lava here, and there's not really much going on. But yeah, that's what I've got so far. There's a few features I didn't show off, but I don't think they're too important at this point in time. Maybe I'll make another video and show some of the other features that I didn't get into this video. But for right now, I think that's a good example of what all this engine is capable of and how to use it. So if you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you'd like to contribute to the project, you can check out my Patreon and Ko-fi accounts. They should be linked in the description below. At this point, this is mostly a hobby project, but I would definitely like to get into doing this stuff full time. So I guess that pretty much wraps up this video. So thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.